Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by John Mackenzie.
Hello, Joe.
And Kaya Kainak.
No.
No?
No,
Is that
not
wrong?
even close.
What, how to say it again?
Kaya.
Kaya?
Mm-mm.
Kaya?
Mm-mm.
It's not necessary to sing it, is it?
No.
Kaya Kainak.
Yeah, that'll do.
Who I, for some reason, ruthlessly teased
Yeah.
throughout the early part of the
It
episode.
feels like you're getting your own back for Monday when I was calling you like a system shagger. I feel
That's
like that's
true. That's true. Someone in the YouTube comments said it's nice to see Kaya's introduction to the podcast. It's good to see someone who can bully Joe back.
Fighting back is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah,
I think.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Maybe that did drive my perilous.
It
Yeah,
felt like
that's what
there's
it's-
vitriol behind it. Yeah.
today.
He's trying to reassert.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's always funny how the subconscious works, isn't it? Anyway, things that we discussed today.
You've not introduced Andoni.
Oh, of course. We're also joined by Andoni Iraola and or Mary Shelley. We're not certain which. You'll only be able to see and understand that joke. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. It's been very funny recently. Our video numbers have been good, and it's just funny for me. So please subscribe. Please subscribe. Here's things that happened on today's show. Firstly, thanks for the show of support in the comments section, and / also thanks for the further criticism of the non-football tangents in last week's episode. That always gives me something to enjoy on a Monday and now Thursday evening for reading material. If you want football this time around, you will be a little bit disappointed at the start. What did we talk about at the start, Steve?
Pronunciations for an incredible period of time.
Yeah. We found, here it is. How do you say Atletico Madrid versus Athletic Club? Now, what's interesting about this conversation, let me just preface it by saying, John knows how to do it, but can't do it. I think that's the thing. And in real life, got quite upset and angry. So if you at any point today feel as though the tone or vibe of the show is off, that's because in real life it's tense in the room. Okay? What else did we discuss? Yes, a fun article from the Athletic, from our colleagues at the Athletic, Nick and Tim, ranking all...
The Athletic.
The Athletic.
The Athletic.
No, don't start this again. Good Lord. All the 36 teams of the Champions League were ranked. We discuss whether they are correct or not and ruthlessly berate them when we believe that they are wrong. We got lost in the concept of time for a while. That was exciting. Oh, how to manifest the delicious taste of food when eating.
That was one of your weirder anecdotes, I think.
I really enjoyed doing that yesterday. Oh, Spurs we talked about, or Tottenham. One of the big six, also one of the top six. They've started their Champions League campaign with a win. And we found out what caught John's eyes and Kaya's eyes in that part of the conversation. And finally, John gets to talk about Bournemouth, which actually is quite interesting because I wrap it in a delicious framing of Man United. So for those of you at home who say, the Athletic only ever talks about the big six, true dat, bro. Look out for that bit. You're going to love it. And that's the show, I think. Did I miss anything else?
No, all good.
Okay, well, hope you enjoy it, and we'll be, I don't know, I keep saying, hey! Well, where else to begin, of course, than with the Champions League, which is happening this week. How exciting.
As we speak.
Yeah, worth saying, at the head here, we know the results of the Tuesday games, but we're recording this on Wednesday. We haven't seen the Wednesday evening games. We won't have seen the Thursday evening games. So we're not going to talk about the games specifically or in very much depth. Instead, we're going to talk about the Champions League more generally, a little bit broadly. And very specifically, we're going to talk about a fun piece on The Athletic that was written and published by Nick Miller and Tim Spears. Do you remember a few weeks ago when we had the Tim Spears every transfer of the summer ranked? Well, all 36 Champions League teams ranked ahead of the big kickoff this week. They themselves, Nick and Tim, say, how do we assess each of these teams involved in the first round? Well, here's our definitive, but also entirely subjective and, quote, extremely debatable ranking. So we gave Tim a bit of a hard time with the transfer one a few weeks ago. Let's see if he deserves another hard time over this. And I'm not going to read all 36. Because I think that would take absolutely forever. But I'm going to start at number 10 and work my way down. Please stop me when you wish to interject. Okay? In at number 10...
I wish to interject.
Ranked number 10 is Atletico Madrid. In at number 9, Napoli. Oh, we've got an Italian team in. in the top 10.
Can we talk about Atletico Madrid quickly?
Of
because
course,
they're
yeah.
doing quite badly in La Liga.
We can only talk about them, though, if you commit to calling them Atletico Madrid
Atletico.
and not Atletico, like you like to do.
You said Atletico Madrid.
He said Atletico.
I didn't. I said Atletico Madrid. We've got the recording.
Did it again.
So he just did it again.
Yeah, Atletico.
I'm softening the T because that's what they do.
Atletico
Madrid.
He's saying Atletico.
Because Athletic Club de
No,
Bilbao
if I was to say
is
Atletico Madrid, I would say Atletico Madrid. But
So
I'm
what-
saying
say those two
Atletico
words.
Madrid.
Say them next to each other.
Atletico Madrid.
And
Atletico Madrid.
no, say Atletico and then Atletico.
No, it's not Atletico, is it?
What is it?
It's Atletico. It's like
See,
they run it together.
He
It's
said
a
it right
softened
there.
T.
Say the first word in Atletico Madrid.
If you get a Spanish person to say
Wait.
Atletico
You're
Madrid,
not a Spanish person.
No.
Listen to me. One second. Whoa now, horsey. Okay. say for me.
we're like 2 minutes in, and I already want to leave the room.
Say Atletico
2
Madrid.
minutes. It's a record.
And then say Athletic Club.
Athletic Club.
Yeah.
Atletico Madrid. They're completely different. The way that I'm saying it.
They sounded pretty identical to me there.
Okay, we don't have to talk about it anymore. But it's really funny.
But you're saying it wrong. You're saying Atletico Madrid.
I'm saying Atletico.
Yeah, and that's not how it's pronounced.
Why is that wrong?
Because it's a soft T which runs into the L, right?
So how do I say it?
I just think
Can you say it really slowly for me?
Atletico Madrid.
Atletico
Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid.
Atletico.
It's like an email address. It's like Atletico Madrid.
Atletico Madrid.
I'm just saying. I'm just dropping my T because I'm English. So I'm saying Atletico.
I don't know.
Atletico Madrid.
Have you ever heard anyone say Atletico Madrid like that?
So I should be
I've
saying,
heard people say Atletico Madrid. This very room.
I was consciously trying to say Atletico, as in like that's
Why
how
are
I
they
say
struggling,
it.
John? Why do it? Yeah. Oh my God.
Atletico.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should just get a Spanish person in and. do we
Ruben
have any?
speaks Spanish. Listen, we simply can't move on until just double check. We've also got something from Ruben here. Okay.
Well, of course I can, Steve Hankey. Real Madrid's rivals are Atletico Madrid. You can just say Madrid.
Atletico Madrid. That's what I'm saying.
There is that there's no H. Atletico or Atleti as a kind of.
So the thing is, I've basically hung up on him. The equivalent.
The point I'm making is that when I'm saying it, I'm not consciously trying. I'm not saying Atletico. I'm saying Atletico, and it's.
And viewers and listeners at home can tell that the tension in the room is real. It's not like it's not. Wait. It's not a confectured, manufactured. It's real. The tension in the room, and I understand because when you feel like you're being gaslit right now, don't you? You feel like we're gaslighting you.
When I'm saying it in my head, I'm thinking Atletico Madrid, as in without an H.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, but you're saying Atletico.
It's just in your accent. It sounds like It sounds like when you said both of those clubs next to each other. It sounds exactly the same.
But I would say Athletic Club. I would like soften the T longer. I'd be like Athletic Club, where I'm like Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How would you pronounce the word on this mic stand that I've just knocked?
The Athletic.
Not the athletic.
Not the Athletic.
Okay, cool. That's it.
You can kind of hear what I'm saying. Though,
I
right?
completely agree with you.
Okay,
yeah.
People say I say Man City funny as well because I say Man City.
You say Man City.
Man City
with two
I'm
Ds.
I'm just softening the T. Man City.
Yeah. Okay. What did you want to say about Atletico Madrid?
Nothing. I hate that. They're not doing very well in La Liga this season. They're 11th in the table. So
right. They're 11th. Good Lord. After 4 games?
4 games,
No,
5
11th.
points. 11 T Madrid.
Oh no. John's actually unhappy now.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to build him back up. Do you want to just talk through your feelings? No, you want to move on.
I
Do some Bournemouth later, that will show up.
I'm busy sort of harboring them in my heart now. I'm going to bake them into my heart, and at some point it will come out.
I just want to prepare you, okay, that when this podcast goes out, the comments are overwhelmingly going to say what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
And so if you're this upset about it now in the room, I think you just need to prepare yourself for what is going to come.
I mean, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, every week Liverpool fans say I hate Liverpool, so I'll just fit it in the same sort of category as that.
Which category is that?
In my head, like part of me thinking, I bet some Spanish people will come out and be like, yeah, that's probably quite a good way of pronouncing it.
That's
and I'm
true.
like, yeah.
That would be like in keeping in the theme of your what stuff you say on here or stuff you say on videos, wouldn't it? It's like you'll say something and then many of the audience, the ordinary audience members, will say that's really stupid. But like two people who work at Premier League clubs will text you and say, no, that's actually exactly right. Yeah,
it's maybe like when I said Erdogan. I don't even say Erdogan anymore. I've lost that. But do you know the reason I say that is because I was talking about Martin Erdogan well before he was in the Premier League, because one of my best friends is a Norwegian football fan and was telling me about this 15-year-old kid who was great. Erdogan. And he is Norwegian, so he was saying the name to me in that way, and so that's why I've said it that way. But now,
I keep thinking now, am I supposed to start saying Haaland?
Yeah,
because I've been saying Haaland but
he anglicizes it as well, right? And
he's only just started to do that.
There was the Bruno Fernandes thing as well, where he's like, don't say my name, Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah,
because it should be Bruno Fernandes or something like that, right?
Yeah,
and he's like, everyone who tries to say that.
He's personally having a go at JJ Bull there.
That's right. Yeah. Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I mean, should we agree? Should we just start trying to say Haaland then if he says it that way, or is it like?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's hard to know, isn't it? Because like, I think some of them will obviously want. It's the whole Christian Norgard thing, right? Where he's obviously said it in an anglicised way, and then he said it in an actual Norwegian way, and it's like. They're probably somewhere between the two of wanting people to try and say their name correctly, but then when people do, being like, that's so far off what's possible.
I mean, my name is technically mispronounced by you guys.
How do you say your name?
It's like Kaya with like a sort of a.
Oh, the emphasis is on the R.
Yeah, there's a
Kaya.
Kaya.
Yeah,
there's like
more
of an R.
How do you pronounce?
How
do you pronounce your surname? Does it change?
Kainak.
So it's Kaya Kainak.
Kaya
it goes
Kainak.
down.
Kaya
does it go up at the end of both words? Is that like a standard Turkish thing? Is it like to emphasize the ultimate, as they call it?
Don't know about the entire.
I mean, your name is relatively easy to say.
Yeah.
From Turkish.
Do you know what I've discovered about Kaya? He doesn't know anything about Turkey. He just likes to talk about it as though he's from Turkey and as though he's from the culture. Because you were born in Turkey, right?
Nope.
He doesn't know anything. He wasn't even born in Turkey. He doesn't know anything about Turkey.
Yeah.
Well, who was the guy that you explained the pronunciation?
Don't know.
Kukchu or something, and I was just like, no.
Kukchu.
Yeah. What's his first name?
Orkun
Kukchu.
Kukchu. Nice.
Yeah. See, that's all right. But it's hard to say, isn't it? And if you're like us and you have to just throw names into like sentences, it's so hard to like throw yourself into the pronunciation.
That's right.
Headspace and then come back out. But I'll never say the name of Real Madrid's intercity rivals ever again.
Did I ever tell you that my mother was born in Cyprus?
Really? No.
Yeah.
Which bit?
Are you claiming to be a
Makes
child?
us the same. I'm also from Cyprus.
Cheering on Paphos this year in the Champions League, then, are we?
Hey, Paphos! I see what you've done there, Steve. Get out of it, Steve. But it's true that Napoli are in 9th place on this Tim Spears list. So that's one of the... Let me just skate forward to see if there are any other Italian teams in there. Oh, no, didn't have to scroll very far to find that there aren't. Napoli, highest ranked Italian team. Moving on. Chelsea.
Do you want us to say something there? Is that what
no, not at all. Only if you feel compelled to. That's it. I want this to be...
But it felt as though we were being compelled to do that by the silence that you
I'm just aware. People have said to me before, I don't know if this is true or not, but that I have a tendency to bowl over people in conversations. I don't think that's true. I don't know. Let me finish. I'm not sure that I can't... When people say things like that, I think, does that sound like me? That doesn't sound like me. So I've learned to leave a little pause. I've actually started doing this in... it's kind of funny. I've started doing this in big work meetings as well. I read once, or someone on a TikTok or a podcast or whatever, someone said you should leave a 7-second gap. If you ask a question to the room, you should leave a 7-second gap and count it in your head. And it's a long time.
7 seconds is so long.
It's do you know, Steve,
that gives you a corner, doesn't it?
Permission, I'm going to do it now. It's so long that they wouldn't be allowed to do this on live radio because what is it, 5 seconds? If there's no noise for 5 seconds, it gets cut off air.
Oh, wow.
But I'm going to do 7 seconds now so that we can hear how long that is. I'm going to ask you a question and then I'll indicate when you should answer it, okay? What do you think about Chelsea being in 8th place in this Champions League ranking, John?
It's been so long, I've forgotten what the question was.
It's a long time.
Literally had me coming out in hives there. I
can't. To wait for a response. So I do it in all meetings. Doing all the meetings now, just to see if and do you know what? People don't answer if you ask a group of people a question, particularly on a video call or something. People don't answer initially. If you
that's just because they're not listening to you. That's what that
maybe
is.
That's the case. If you leave it long enough, 7 seconds. Once you start getting to 5 seconds, people start to panic and they go, "He's not going to carry on talking unless someone says something." And suddenly, pop, People say stuff. The number of times where I've been surprised towards the end of that 7-second period that someone interrupts me and then starts to say something.
It's the awesome power of awkwardness, isn't it? That's what it is. People just can't deal with it.
People can't.
We live
deal
in a
with
world as well
awkwardness.
where everything, like 7 seconds, is like a chunk of a short video for us, right?
Yeah.
And people can't. They have to fill that space. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny how the world speeds up, isn't it? I remember 20 years ago, it was 21 seconds with So Solid Crew. Now it's just 7. Now it's just 7. People say TikTok has changed your, I don't know what they say.
I think the Italian thing is kind of fun, right? Because Napoli obviously won the league last season, but Inter were in the final last season. Obviously got turned over quite badly in the final. But the Italian teams are definitely going through a bit of an overhaul at the moment. So, like for example, Milan have gone back to Massimo Allegri, which feels like going back 10 years in time, right? And Inter brought in Kivu. They've lost Simone Inzaghi, who was so big for them, and that's been enough to push both those teams, in Milan in the tournament, right? So there's that. But Inter, that's been enough for them to be dropped out of the top 10. So.
Inter are in 11th. Yeah. Absolutely. But it's also worth adding that Napoli will be interesting to watch this season because they have added Kevin De Bruyne as well. So it'd be great to see the two Premier League greats, Kevin De Bruyne and Scott McTominay, play alongside each other.
It's the Kevin De Bruyne derby, isn't it? This match day. I know that it will have happened by the time this episode is being listened by most people, but
that's true.
That's fun. But Chelsea, I think 8th is fair.
Yeah, I mean they're above a couple of the other English teams. They're below, obviously. I feel like I'm not going to need to leave 7 seconds for this, Kaya. Let's see how long we have to leave before you interrupt. It might even be before I finish talking, because in 7th
I wish to interject.
In 7th place, just above Chelsea, is Arsenal.
Yeah.
Now, can I read to you Nick and Tim's, not really a justification, but just what they've written.
I'll give you 7 seconds.
They wrote quarterfinalists 2 years ago, semi-finalists last year. What chance of Arsenal, just like in the Premier League, making almost continual progress in Europe too? Well, their squad looks far better, prepared to cope with the inevitable injury issues they will suffer. Again, like in the league, their fate may depend on the form of Gyökeres. So there's nothing really in there to explain why they're not higher, but maybe we'll find that the 6 clubs above them are just a little bit better.
I've read the article.
Okay, sure.
I don't want to spoil it.
You think they should be higher? Do you really think Arsenal
genuinely,
are going to
yes.
win the Champions League?
This is not this in my opinion is an Arsenal squad that has been built with real depth, and you saw this, as you said, we're recording on Wednesday, so we've seen the Tuesday game, and Arsenal went to Athletic, their first game.
Where'd they go?
Athletic Club de Bilbao.
That's it.
And they did so without Bukayo Saka, without Martin Odegaard, without William Saliba, without Kai Havertz, and probably some other people that I'm forgetting. And they won, and I think that's a sign that they're a team who can deal with various different tasks that come up against them, and they've already played various different types of game. They can play, if you want them to, I was going to say slap up, but that didn't feel right.
Do you want them to slap up?
Just sort of really
slap about,
heavily defeat. Doesn't sound right either. There's no way of saying like a big victory at home. Thrash.
Yeah, thrash.
You want them to thrash a minnow?
Thrash.
Yeah. Would you thrash a minnow? A minnow is like a small fish. So thrashing a minnow.
A lot of overkill to thrash a minnow.
Yeah.
Maybe you would thrash away at a whale if it was trapping you. But but I don't think you would want to thrash a minnow.
That feels a bit mean.
Feels quite a violent verb as well.
It does.
In the same way that slap up. Right? It's like
slap up. I thought you were talking about a slap up meal or something. I was confused.
That is kind of a weird turn of phrase, isn't it?
You slap it up. It's a slap up meal. It's but then it's a good meal.
Yeah, it is.
You
good.
slap the minnow, then you serve it.
Well, where does the etymology of slap up meal come from? Slap up meal. Etymology.
Yeah.
Let's find out. The term slap, I'm reading from the AI overview on Google now. I feel like I should just say. So this is probably wrong. The term slap up meal is thought to derive from the earlier phrase slap bang meal, used by writers like Charles Dickens in the early 19th century to describe a cheap, lively eating house where food was slapped on the table and customers slapped down their coins. So I guess it is like a faster affair as opposed to something...
It did seem like the direction was completely different from what it is become though, right?
Yeah, because now if you,
a
slap up meal is like you'll go out and have a nice meal.
Yeah, slap up. Yeah, slap up dinner is like a really good meal.
A really posh dinner.
I thought a slap up dinner was like a quick home meal, as in like you've got a few minutes, you're busy at the end of the day, have a slap up
dash.
That's slapdash.
Slapdash.
I thought if you say I'm going out for a slap up meal, it's like you're going out for a nice dinner.
I'd say
Is
slap
this
up
you as a
dinner.
Lancashireman again, though?
It could be me as a Cypriot, a Lancashire. I don't know anymore.
Could be Irish as well.
I could be the Irish.
Slap
Could
up
be the
halloumi.
Welsh in me. You know, there's so many different cultures and backgrounds in me.
Slap up dinner to me is like a really good meal.
I
Like,
agree.
and like a posh meal, right? It's
Maybe
like
it is a
more-
northern thing.
To be fair, Cambridge Dictionary does say slap up meal is especially large, and we went for a slap up meal on our wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
That's a special occasion, which
Okay.
would imply, hoity-toity.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess the difference is a class difference here, John, where you and I,
Yeah.
the povos, we think a slap up meal is a lovely thing, whereas these young boys from the
yeah.
south, from Cambridge, and then from something got cut, but also
Jesus.
something else got cut. We don't know how many things there were. Anyway, I'm proud of your. Something got cut. Let's not talk about it anymore because the same thing keeps getting.
Also
cut.
not relevant, but I'm actually not from Cambridge. I'm from Chingford.
You're from Cambridge. You're from Chingford.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I only know one other person from Chingford, and his name's also Steve.
It's
Hankey,
you. It's
so-
you.
I'm not
Yeah.
from Chingford. I am sort of from Walthamstow.
You're
though,
a
so,
child.
you know,
You're the child of the universe.
that's
yeah.
true. I'm from many, many places. It's difficult to not have a home. You know, you wouldn't know that. Anyway,
Basically, my point was
oh yeah, what were we talking about?
Arsenal
yeah.
have quite a deep squad. They're capable of doing
Yeah, talk about not having a home, not knowing where
Yeah,
they come from.
exactly.
South of the river, know what I'm saying?
Oh, here we go.
Down
Yeah.
Woolwich way. Hey.
Dial
that time.
Square. What are they called? Dial Square
Dial
FC.
Square.
Yeah.
FC.
We're supposed to have Seb Stafford on the podcast today instead of me, so that does make sense as to
That's
why
true.
you've gone for this Tottenham first approach.
Tottenham first.
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned Tottenham.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, Tottenham first approach, just like the chronological ordering of history there.
Yeah.
The Tottenham first approach. But no, what were you saying about Woolwich FC? Arsenal, sorry?
Dial Square have a really good team, a really good squad,
Yeah.
who are capable of doing anything.
Yeah.
I know you're going to say except winning a trophy. I can see this out of the corner of my eye, the cogs whirring in your brain.
No, I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, well, I think you were.
You think this is the season? They're going.
I don't know if they'll win it, but I think they should be higher than 7th favourite. That's what I'm going to
Right.
say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got some.
They certainly should be ahead of Man City, who are next on the list, in my opinion.
Well, I was going to say that also that they've listed their fixtures here. They have got a few tough fixtures in the league phase. This is Arsenal still. They play Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid at home.
Who?
But they play Inter away. Some more straightforward ones. We know that they beat Athletic Club 2-0 last night away from home. So it's a strong start. It is interesting, John, isn't it, that Tim and Nick have put Manchester City next. Here's what they have to say. City have a complicated history with this competition, and it remains an underachievement by Pep Guardiola to have only won it once in his 9 years at the club at Manchester City. If Guardiola has fixed City's midfield, expect them to go all the way to the quarterfinals, where they will lose against Real Madrid, who they face for an 11th time in the 2020s in the league phase. So that's their prediction, which is a fair point, I suppose, isn't it? But it doesn't really explain why they're above Arsenal. Why do you think they would have been motivated to do that?
To put City ahead of Arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
Beyond
people,
just to upset Kaya.
Well, yeah, that's what they told
And
me.
Steve.
Actually, they messaged me and said that it's mainly to annoy Kaya. But I guess people are still in the headspace of like last season was just a blip, and you can explain it away by talking about the physical problems that they had in the squad, with a lot of players sort of aging out, a few injuries. Those are largely gone now. So in theory, it should be like business as usual for Manchester City.
Yeah.
I'm less convinced of that, and I think
Yeah.
I certainly think that Arsenal are at a point ahead in these evolutionary cycles than Manchester City.
I feel like maybe I'm just in a little Tifo podcast bubble, but I feel so much more confident that Arsenal are going to win the league than Man City. I know this is the Champions League and this is a different thing, and maybe there's a tournament bias here towards teams who perform better.
Again,
in
they've
games.
mentioned the fact that like City have not performed well in the Champions League they've won it once, right? And there's the big story with Pep always used to be, he overthinks things in knockout tournaments,
Sure.
right? When really it probably is more just that the play style that they had was much more functional over larger sample sizes, and so there's always the possibility they could lose to a Lyon as they did, right? And or drop out in a sort of random game where it just doesn't go right and the opposition scores a couple of goals from quick breaks, and that's it, right? And so I would probably have City lower than Arsenal anyway, because I feel like you say, Arsenal do feel a bit more like a team that can survive in those sort of competition games.
Yeah. The Pep overthinks it in Champions League thing is so funny to me, and is such a great example, I think, of how sort of word of mouth narrative works in football. Because when people first started to say it, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, very quickly afterwards, there was this groundswell of reporters, writers, analysts saying that's not true. We shouldn't really say that. That's a kind of overestimation of, or an exaggeration of what has occurred. But because there were more of those people saying we shouldn't say it, the notion itself that he overthinks things in the Champions League travelled further, and more people heard about it than would have heard about the original people making the accusation. Yeah. And then it became more of a thing. And then the following year, I can't remember. I wish I could remember dates, but or fixtures or evidence. But I feel like the following year it then came back. It became a bit of a joke where people said it almost as a meme. And then there were a couple of games where it seemed as though maybe he did overthink something, which was probably a one-off or an anomaly. But because there was already this idea, it then just served as like confirmation that what everyone said before, even though everyone said it wasn't what we were saying, just because one or two people said that we were saying it, it became confirmation that all of that stuff was true. And now it's a thing. Despite the most people talking about it expressly to express that it isn't a thing. It is more of a thing because of that.
I definitely think he does overthink things, and I think
but
he does it in general.
Recently, right?
I think he overthinks things anyway, right? He's a guy who thinks a lot about each game, and I think he has had a tendency to do. Okay, he'll take a sort of wild step to the side in a tactical sense for certain games. But I also think that the overthinking narrative is obviously tied to him losing, right? So you end up with just getting results biased. There's some games where they'll win where he does like the wild sidestep tactically.
And then he's a galaxy brain.
Yeah. But then it's just like, it's Pep Guardiola. He always sort of does this. So I guess you're overthinking. You can't have your overthinking and eat it, right?
Don't you think that's stupid though? It's like often it's the same people who will say, if you like you said, if you make a great tactical move, you take a risk, you win the game. He's a galaxy brain, aka he thinks so much and it's great. And then just as soon as you lose
when it
the
goes
game,
wrong, it's
you thought too much now. Now you should think less. You stop thinking. Think less than you're thinking now.
I think it's a standard problem with people doing tactical analysis to be like a little bit results biased and be like, if the team, and everyone does it, right? And we see it every day in the fact that we have to put out content explaining what happens in a game, and you sort of have to follow the narratives a little bit, right? You have to.
I watched Man United in week 1 play. Who did they play? Arsenal in week 1.
Yep.
Even though they lost the game, they played quite well, and then I predicted them pretty high in my league table.
But I think you sort of have to follow that, because if you go down the route of this team played well but did some bad things, the fans get mad. And if a team plays badly and win, wait, is that the same thing? Yeah, if they play badly and win, and you say, "Oh, there was these issues with it," then and I think that's the problem, is that you end up then not really talking about the tactical ebb and flow and momentum of the game. You end up saying this team won. What's one good thing they did? And then you tie the causality between those two things together, and so you say, because they did this thing, therefore this happened, or because they won, the tactical approach must have been correct, right? Even if the tactical momentum of the game wasn't in that way.
Yeah, it's a bit like I rewatched The Big Short recently, and how everyone in that film basically is saying, this is gonna crash, this is terrible, this is gonna be a big problem, and everyone's like, nah, it's fine, everyone's making money, this is good, we're having a good time, and then the economy crashes. I don't want to spoil The Big Short, but
it's a bit of a spoiler for people.
For people reading the encyclopedia of history and getting to 2007, they're furious right now that they found out what's happened. Well, let me tell you also that Man City, they have some, I would say, some tricky league phase fixtures. Home fixtures against Real Madrid via Leverkusen. Who did they appoint a new coach?
Yes, Kasper Hjulmand.
Kasper Hjulmand, okay.
I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
Hjulmand, I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah. Well, we'll find out. Who knows?
John? I'm not saying anything. I'm never going to.
How do you pronounce it in Turkish?
Hjulmand.
Napoli also at home. Galatasaray. Those games are always tricky, just because the Turkish teams live for the Champions League. How do you pronounce
Galatasaray? Right? Did he pronounce that badly?
You don't. You just
don't say that name. No, fair enough.
No.
Borussia Dortmund as an away fixture, Villarreal as an away fixture, then Bodo Glimt and Monaco. That's tricky games. Those are tricky games to navigate, I would say. So we're going to find out soon about them. In 5th place, now we're getting to where the heat is hotter. Bayern Munich up here, untouchable in the Bundesliga, of course, except that one time that they it up completely, relatively recently. Can't remember who they lost to.
By Leverkusen.
There you go. But they do have some wonderful players. They also added Luis Diaz this year, I suppose. Vincent Kompany starting strong out in the season. I mean, feels very uncontroversial to put them at 5th, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think they would probably, their fans would probably argue that they could be even higher. But I think we're getting to the point now where it's like, these are the teams that you expect to be in the semi-finals, and then it just comes down to momentum, right? What was it last time? It was Real Madrid? No, they got knocked out in the quarters. It was Arsenal, PSG, Barcelona, and Inter. Yeah, Inter aren't there now, but like those are the same sorts of teams that you're going to expect to get through to the semis, right? You probably add in Real Madrid in there. And,
Have you read the article? Do you know the order remaining?
Yes.
You do, okay. And you know it as well.
I do, I'm afraid.
So I can't have guessing games.
Sorry.
No, that's
We can
fine.
do a guessing game.
Well, we know that there's 4 teams left. We can perhaps reveal it slowly for the audience who may not have read it. The teams that do remain in no particular order, of course, are the 2 Spanish teams, Barcelona and Real Madrid. There's Liverpool and PSG. If you had to guess, even though you do know, if you didn't know and you were guessing, would you be surprised that Nick and Tim have put Liverpool 4th? They're the highest placed English team. And then it is Real Madrid 3rd. Barcelona are actually 2nd and PSG 1st.
I don't know. I think coming off the back of the last Champions League campaign, everyone was like, Barcelona now, it's just a matter of time before they win in this iteration.
Before they become the team, the generational team.
I don't even think generational, but I think there's a feeling that that's the team to beat. Because I think they are very sort of competition team in that sense. They were blowing teams away by 4 or 5 goals in some of those games. The big question, obviously, being how many they conceded the other way. But I think that there was a sort of groundswell opinion that they were maybe the team who deserved it last season, and then therefore, as a result, you kind of go into the next season thinking they have to be the favourites.
Yeah.
PSG won it, so I can see why they would be up there. Liverpool largely had I guess they flew through the league phases last time, but
the Champions League phase.
The Champions League phase, yeah. But then I suppose when you look at the game they got knocked out in, it did feel as though they sort of got a little bit dominated by PSG.
Yeah.
To the extent that I think people have almost dismissed them off the back of that. Yeah. And I think, Liverpool fans will be screaming at whatever they're listening or watching on right now and going through the nuances of that game. But
Probably a phone.
The
statistics say it's most likely a phone.
But I don't think, I think because they were out so early last time, they sort of dropped out of the consciousness of like team who could be in the final stages of the Champions League. I think they'll be there. I think they will get through.
Yeah.
Potentially. I don't know. It's an interesting one as well. What we've got to remember is when they've made this list, Liverpool have been a bit shaky so far.
That's true. Despite having a perfect record.
Yeah, right.
Although they play, don't they? Who do they play? Is it tonight or tomorrow?
They're playing,
So today's Thursday for people consuming.
But it's not, because they know I've already said when I am in time.
Yes.
I've established my presence in time.
Okay.
And so now I get to say tonight, If I hadn't established my presence in time,
sure,
I would have said what you said.
Yeah.
But what's happened instead is you've cut in, haven't you, as the producer? And you've tried to pull one over on me, Steve Hankey, but you were wrong, weren't you? You were wrong, Steve
You said
Hankey.
It's Thursday when people are listening, but they could be listening at any point after
Exactly,
Thursday,
Steve Hankey. Even John knows.
Even
it took him 5 seconds to work that out, but even he knows.
Well, those of you listening in 2027, welcome.
Yeah, what about those people listening in the far-flung future? What about me watching back on a random Tuesday in 3 months to lift my self-esteem, hey? What about that? It's not Thursday for me.
It's the only thing we can do is root ourselves in the only certainty, which is that we are where we are right now.
Well, I mean, that easily is that even certain.
Where are we? Because there's 2 clocks and they both show different times in this studio. One says 3:34, one says 3:35.
Oh my god!
One says 15:34 and one says 3:30.
So it could actually be AM and PM.
Yeah.
Do you know? I got a couple of years ago. I got a new MacBook, and I had this strange technical phenomenon issue on it, where the clock, my world clock, was 1 minute out or just under that. And every time I tried to reset it to align with the world, my computer just died. and I can't remember the exact details. I ended up like troubleshooting Googling it for ages.
Is that the Millennium Bug?
I was going to say, was it 1999?
it was. I think it's something not dissimilar. And this was before the advent of ChatGPT, so like it took me ages to like troubleshoot and work it out. And eventually, I realized it has to be 1 minute off, otherwise, the simplest fix is to like have a custom clock. So now my MacBook is 1 minute fast.
Sort of like the world's shittest time traveler.
Yeah, it's so weird. Someone will leave a comment now explaining that there's a way of getting around that. Please do if you know how. Not that it really
I saw a TikTok reel. TikTok reel? That's not right, is it?
Instagram keep going anyway, Grandad.
But it was some teacher at a school who was like, "Oh, can my pupils tell the time on an analog clock?"
Right.
And so he just had a clock and he was changing the time and getting them to say it. But then I went through the experience of being like completely unable to tell the time as soon as I was trying to think about, could I tell the time?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
Whereas if you just showed me an analog clock, I'd be like, well, that's the time.
That's the time. But when
you show it and then you have to think about it, it blows your brain.
Do you know, Steve wants me to go to a break, but can I just say one last thing? I got my wife to do this last night. It was really funny. I got home. I was really hungry. It was very late. I got home from work. It was like 9:30 p.m. And she'd made this really nice dinner of quiche and potatoes and tender stem broccoli, a little bit of mayo, a little bit of salt. It was right up my alley. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, I thought I'm going to savor this today. And I remembered reading once that if you act something out, it just becomes, it makes it a lot easier for it to become true in terms of experience, to manifest your own experience. So I thought I'm gonna eat slowly, and I'm gonna go like I'm in an M&S advert. My wife was like, "What the f*** are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm manifesting enjoying it," and she started to do it too. And then we giggled for like 15 minutes at how incredible the food was. Next time you eat, just give it a try. It seems so stupid. It seems like the silliest thing to do. But if you do it really slowly, you're very intentional about what you're doing, and you intentionally taste and enjoy the food, your eating experience is incredible.
A slap-up dinner,
John. Let's go to a break. Hey, we're back from the break. There was some confusion about whether I completed the list or not.
I don't think you did. I think you said in no particular order. And then we didn't actually do the particular order.
Oh, that's true. Okay. So it was Real Madrid in third, Barcelona in second, PSG in first. But guess what? None of them are Premier League teams. And as the commenters will tell you, John, this is a top six podcast. Okay. If they're not in the top six of the Premier League, I am not interested. And Tottenham are in the top six. I mean, they're in the big six. Maybe this is a big six podcast.
They are in the top six.
They're third.
Are they in the top six?
Third.
They're both in the top six and in the big six.
Yeah.
Wow. Very rare. But that's the case. Okay, great. Well, anyway, they actually played in the Champions League. We know the result of this. You were at the game, John.
I was.
You watched the game, Kaya. It was Tottenham 1, 0 Villarreal. And it's a lovely way to mark your return to the tournament, isn't it, John?
To win?
Yes.
Yes. I don't understand what...
How long have you been doing podcasts with me for? How often is it that you think I ask an actual question?
So
what happens is I do it like this. I go, isn't it, John? And
yeah,
you go,
and then you look
now
at me
it's my
and I'm
turn
like,
to talk.
Well, what do you want me to say? Tottenham Hotspur? Do you want me to read out the Wikipedia page?
I don't know. I can't if Steve wrote less than 500 words for everything,
I mean, I do feel for
I would
you.
be able to know what question to ask, but I can't.
It really is testament to your professionalism that you can work with the running order that Steve presents you with, I think.
I've got to the question bit now, and at the bottom, it's all the way down at the bottom.
Is it? Yeah.
It says, Kaya, you were watching last night, and John, you were actually there, which I said that bit without even reading it. And then the question is this: what caught your eye?
It says eyes, actually.
What caught
That's quite general,
your
isn't it?
eyes?
What caught your eyes?
I don't know. Steve wrote it. What do you have an idea?
What do you
of
want
mine?
to talk about, John, about this game? Since you brought up in the WhatsApp chat, we should talk about
now
Spurs.
he's mad at me. Everyone's mad at me on this podcast, including the Liverpool fans. I can hear them. I can hear them out there.
Stop manifesting it. We just talked about that. What caught your eyes?
So it was a weird game, right? Because Villarreal, I'm really paranoid about his pronunciations now. Villarreal scored an own goal.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they scored a goal
4
very
minutes
early
in,
on,
right? Yeah.
And then the game was played out as like a 0-0 draw, basically after
Right.
that. So already you're kind of thinking, well, is there some kind of game state thing going on here? What I found weird though is that the way that Thomas Frank is talked about, a lot of the time, I think people just sort of like to fit him into a sort of nice, neat framework, right?
Yeah.
So they'll be like,
which is he's adaptable and pragmatic.
Yeah, right. And what they mean by like he's adaptable is that like sometimes he presses high as well as sitting deep, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And when he was first at Brentford, they switched between back 3 and back 4 defenses, right? Which is like the height, as Ruben Amorim will tell you, the height of flexibility.
He changes his system every week.
Every week, yeah. In this game, what I thought was so interesting is that what they clearly tried to do is press up on Villarreal. And they said Atletico Madrid.
We've really got in his head.
My head.
We're so in there.
I'm rattled. They pressed up, but they left a lot of space in between their pressing unit and the back line, right? So you're pressing quite aggressive, and the idea is to destabilize the opponent's press and hope that you win, like I guess high turnovers, and they don't get anything going. But they actually played fairly well, and I thought they were able to access those pockets of space quite a lot. So the standard narrative people have is that Thomas Frank teams are going to be defensive and not going to score very much, potentially. I don't know, until they've evolved or something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this game, I felt as though they sort of were quite open from a defensive point of view, and I think had Villarreal actually attacked in more efficient ways when they had the chances to. They did generate some good chances in the game from those kind of moments, but it felt as though, largely speaking, for the first half they had the upper hand in terms of being able to generate dangerous chances. Spurs under Frank are doing very similar things to what Brentford were doing under Frank, which is, and we've talked about this a lot. I feel like I'm talking about it all the time, but this idea of moving the ball around the back until you find an opening to go direct, and it'll either be going into a channel, so usually from your fullbacks, initiated by your fullbacks, going into the channel, or then trying to find maybe a forward dropping into one of the half spaces. With the idea being, I guess it's sort of like a soft version of De Zerbi football. So you're holding the ball and you're wanting the opponent to come onto you, and then you're doing like these double movements to try and destabilize their back line. And
you come here to me football.
Yeah, a bit. Although not, I wouldn't say
completely.
Yeah, not completely. It's a little bit more about just making sure
you come somewhat towards me football.
Yeah, because I don't think they don't bait teams up in the way that like De Zerbi teams do, which is like incredibly provocative, right? With your foot on the ball, and it's like you want the player to come as close to you as possible before you move the ball on. Whereas with them, it's a little bit more just sort of moving the ball one side to the other and deciding, is this a moment where we've got like a dangerous incision to make into the opposition defense or something like that. But the problem is they always seem to end up doing it in the wide areas, right? So eventually the players just sort of drift into the channels, because if you do that, if you don't win the ball, then you've got good sort of structure to win the second balls and counter press. And it just sort of felt that a lot of the ball progression then just becomes quite sort of, you end up, yes, they get forward quite a lot, but you end up playing it into the channels. The opponent then is able to drop into a block, and then you end up just sort of swinging in crosses. So it felt sort of very crossy at that point. And again, you look at the numbers, and I think both teams generated around half an expected goal each, despite the fact that plenty of chances were created. So it just sort of felt like a very sort of uninspiring in possession approach from both teams to an extent. But it just sort of, I don't know, it almost felt like Villarreal were the more proactive team. And you kind of feel as though when it's Spurs and they're playing a sort of, I guess towards the top level of La Liga, but at home you would expect them to be trying to dominate that kind of game. And it sort of felt like quite passive, quite reactive football. It could just be that they got the goal from nowhere, and so they just want to sit on that. But it wasn't even as though they used that then to be like, well, the opponent has to come forward now, so they're going to give us more space. Let's try and exploit that space in some way. They still played in the way that we've seen them play in other games in possession. So people talk about flexibility and adaptability, but I just kind of think, well, all he did differently there to maybe, I mean, it's not even the City game because they pressed quite high in the City game, but like the game against Bournemouth is that they just sort of pressed a bit higher than they would. And that seems to be the flexibility. It's like some games we'll press high, other games we won't. And that doesn't seem to me to be particularly adaptable or flexible.
Okay. Does that concur with what you saw, Kaya?
Yeah, pretty much. It felt like a lot of the plan was, so the left side seems to be kind of figuring itself out as Javi Simmons and Jed Spence get to know each other. But a lot of the plan felt like Kudus and kind of something will happen.
Right.
Which is, worked and, created a lot of chances. Their goal came from it. Lucas Bergvall overlaps Kudus and puts in the cross that the goalkeeper spills into the net. So I don't think there's too much of an issue. And I do think John's right that game state played a part. And I do think Thomas Frank's pragmatic tendencies took over in the sense that in the second half, because in the first half, Villarreal had their chances, but it kind of felt like Spurs could, if they wanted to, get another goal. But in the second half, it felt like Villarreal came onto them a little bit more and Spurs sat back a little bit more.
Yeah.
I do wonder if in other Champions League games, they might get bitten by that, or they're playing against the Yellow Submarines, they might get sunk.
Well, it's always weird, isn't it, when you go unexpectedly a goal ahead, like within the first 5 minutes, because I feel like the game plan just sort of goes out the window. Speaking of the Yellow Submarines, though, Borussia Dortmund, that's another home fixture Spurs have coming up. Villarreal, of course, they're already played. Sparta Prague and Copenhagen are the other teams they play at home. And then away, they have Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, Monaco, and PSG. So, I mean, I would say there are a number of winnable fixtures there. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see Spurs move on to the next phase. That didn't stop Tim and Nick from putting them 15th, though, which is probably fair enough because of how shit they were last year.
It's hard to know, right? It's hard to know what level they're at. And
it's also Thomas Frank's first real venture into the Champions League.
Right,
it?
And it's Thomas Frank working with a level of players that is above any level of players he's worked with before, even when he was in Denmark working at the highest level there. This is, you look at the squad that they've got and you think this is an incredibly good squad.
Yeah.
We're talking your Shabby Simmons and your Mohamed Kudus, right? And James Madison is coming back to fitness. It's like an incredible wealth of attacking players there. You've got
Lucas Bergvall as a depth bench option is incredible as well.
Kolo Muani is you looked at one point I was just looking at the players warming up on the side and it's like you've got Destiny Udogie there and you've got Brennan Johnson, all of the Spurs Kolo Muani, all of the Spurs players cost £40 million or more. It's easy to, I think, look at Spurs as a Premier League fan general fan base and think, look at Spurs and they don't look as good as some of the other sides. But relatively speaking, on the European stage, it's just an incredible squad. And so I think that's for me maybe what's a little bit more concerning about the game that I watched yesterday is the standard narrative is Thomas Frank's going to come in, he's going to make them solid defensively, and then they'll add some attacking verve or flair or whatever. But I think the thing that surprised me yesterday was that I didn't even think that they were particularly solid out of possession for stretches. And it felt as though they were trying to augment their attacking play by being just more aggressive in the press and being we'll win balls higher up the pitch. And they did it a few times. I felt, by the second half, they were turning the ball over quite a lot as well. And I think that's the concerning thing about Thomas Frank for me is going to be to what extent will he ever be able to improve the in possession side of the game for them, and if he doesn't, then where does this team plateau out? It could be that where they're at right now is going to plateau out, as a Champions League challenging team in the Premier League, right? So pushing for top four, and that may be fine, and it may just be the plan to put to bed the last couple of seasons and say we're not going to finish 17th again. We're going to make sure that we're finishing in solid European spots. But I guess that I often hear Premier League fans quite sort of ad hoc and willy-nilly say, well, the coach...
Ad hoc and willy-nilly?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've actually hit the word that I wanted to find there, but...
Keep looking.
I think the word I want is you just sort of offhand throw it out there, right? And
carelessly.
Just sort of you say something
Higgledy-piggledy.
No. I think it's just throwing it out there that where they say the team will evolve.
Yeah.
And I'm fully for having a conversation about how this team evolve, but I don't think people ever really think through what they mean when they say that. They're just that for me. If someone says, "Oh, my coach is going to evolve," most of the time it's copium. Yeah. So you then have to drill in to ask, where are the areas where X, Y, or Z coach will evolve? And sometimes I think that effectively what you're asking the coach to do is just to become something that he's never been at any point in his career. And for you to make the assumption that that's either going to happen or is possible is, I think, quite a claim, but it just sort of goes under the radar a little bit because people can just say, well, the coach will evolve, hopefully.
John, what do you mean by copium?
Copium?
Yeah, because I've just Googled it and it says a genus of tree bugs, and I don't think...
I was talking about,
slang.
It's
slang.
it's like
how
kids
you
say
cope
it.
with stuff.
it's like
Okay.
I don't know where maybe
It's
hopium
Turkish.
was
It's
originally
Turkish.
Turkish, yeah.
Hopium and copium.
Copium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Steve, can you turn the aircon off now because I'm quite
You're
cold
chilly.
and I keep looking at Kaya and thinking we forced him to take his jumper off because it was black and he's on a black background. He must be cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How are those? Something was cut there. An inappropriate thing.
Can I just reiterate though
More?
and say
Yeah.
like I think fans should be positive about where Spurs are at right now.
About Spurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think that when they throw terms around like, oh, we're going to evolve in certain ways, I think you have to be just a little bit more clear about what it is that you think
That's
can
true. You
happen.
can't just say something and let it expect it to get past John McKenzie, can you? If you say something around John McKenzie, he will say, "What do you mean by that?" And then he'll drive you to the ends of the data earth to try to find where's the evidence, where's the proof, you know? Unless it's about Man United or Liverpool, in which case you can say whoever you want.
Or
Yeah,
correctly
that's true.
pronouncing Spanish words.
Or correctly pronouncing
Yeah.
Spanish words. Oh, he's actually upset.
Let's make John happy now and let him talk about
Oh my
one
god!
of his favourite
I've been
sites.
staving this off for weeks, but I can't ignore it any longer, John, because you know this is a top 6 podcast, and there's a member of the top 6 right now, isn't there? A little old team that have 3 wins, 1 loss, that we all thought might struggle this season because they lost many important players over the summer. Players including Dean Howson, Ilya Zabani, Milos Kerkez, Miloš Kerkez, these players have all left, you know? And yet, there they are. Plucky AFC Bournemouth, the Cherries.
Cherry Nation.
Cherry Nation.
Hashtag.
They are up there in 4th right now, aren't they? Absolutely incredible after making £210 million in sales. I mean, good Lord, if we could all be Bournemouth, how about that? They've done very well.
Technically underperforming because
Are they really?
the models have them in 3rd place.
Good
so
Lord.
There you go.
Well,
That would be
they're
wrong.
doing it all under the auspices of the man sat next to you at the moment. Well, not sat. He only has half a body. People viewing on YouTube.
This is not actually Andon Areola. It's a picture of him.
great
Oh,
to
I
have him on
thought
the
you were
pod.
about to tell me that was a photo of someone else,
Yes,
and I misunderstood.
That's Mary Shelley, actually.
That's Mary
It's clearly
Shelley.
labelled.
We have a photo of why do we have Areola on a Frankenstein backer?
So around the office, they have headers from some of our articles, I guess, that
Yeah.
have done well. Or I guess this is a Bournemouth one, so they wanted a Bournemouth one.
And it was something to do with Frankenstein, the
Yeah,
article.
yeah. I think
We Googled this
Andoni
before.
Areola was reading Frankenstein at the time or something
Really?
because Mary Shelley is buried in Bournemouth.
That's the cathedral
Right.
behind.
yeah. There
That's
you
where
go.
she's buried.
And I think he was.
And there is an irony to him reading Frankenstein as he tries to sort of fix a team that have had their legs cut from underneath them.
How about that?
Works quite nicely.
He needs to go out and find some new legs to attach
Yeah.
and then use lightning to reanimate the corpse.
And then we can sit here and be like, actually, that's not Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein's monster.
I bet you've been saying that around the office
Oh,
anytime
all the
anyone's
time,
looked
yeah.
at this,
Every
haven't
time
you?
anyone says that.
Well,
that's-
Andoni Areola, who is a coach, is fair to say both is the coach of Bournemouth and also is a coach that you seem to love. My new favourite thing is to say that he's going to be the next Man United manager because I think you think that will somehow soil him.
I've been saying this a lot in various places, and people are just like, "Why do you think he's not a suitable manager for Man United?" Earnestly,
You just don't want to see it happen because I think you don't want to see him crushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. He won't go there. He had the opportunity to go to Spurs, and he was like, "No, I'm going to stay at Bournemouth." I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
he's going to join Man United now, isn't he? And then
Well,
make silly-
I don't know. I mean, but they're doing incredibly well. And, the context here is, as we said, despite losing key players, they're doing really well. I know it's only been 4 games into the season, but am I wrong to be excited?
No, not at all. I've got a document that I write over the summer where I'm like trying to predict what some of the more interesting narratives about each team will be beforehand. And
Yeah.
the one I've got written down, well, one of the ones I've got written down for Bournemouth is could they get better despite losing all of their players?
Right.
And I watched some of the pre-season and I was...
Is this a document or is it a list of wishes and dreams and hopes? And...
yeah, but I watched pre-season and was a little bit worried because they seemed a little bit flaky, but they weirdly flaky out of possession, which is the area where he's very strong as a coach. And they've done incredibly well this season. The points they dropped were against Liverpool, right? And they got back to 2-2 at one point in that game,
Yeah.
and didn't manage to hold on. But when you consider they've played Spurs and Liverpool and they've played 4 games, and then they put up the numbers to be considered amongst the top 4. it's a remarkable feat. But I think with Iraola, I think one of the things I really like about him, I don't really talk about this very much, but I think he's one of the genuinely innovative coaches. And I think one of the big complaints has always been there's not enough coaches who are doing interesting things.
Right.
Everyone tries to be Pep Guardiola, which I think has very quickly shifted now. I think that narrative, even within the last few seasons, has maybe moved on. But I think with Iraola, you definitely get something which is it's within a different kind of genre to what you expect most other coaches to be doing. And the big conversation about him moving to a bigger club is how well does that genre fit in at a team where you're expected to maybe dominate in different ways. But,
right. Because so much of it is out of possession focused.
Yeah, I think so. Although I would maybe say more generally, it's about destabilizing the sort of control that teams want to have in games. So what's really interesting is that if you look at Bournemouth's results over the last few seasons when he's been there, and look at some of the big sides, he's got incredible results against the big sides. Same was true at Rayo Vallecano in La Liga when he was beat Barcelona and Real Madrid, and both maybe drew with Real Madrid, but had good results with those kind of teams. And the reason is because those kind of teams want to have control, so they want to set their in possession and out possession up in ways that are sort of repeatable, sustainable, and allow the players to be like, we know what we're doing here.
So he's the destabilizer, the
disruptor. Yeah. So what they will often do is they will play the ball forward very quickly. They won't try and necessarily build up and control the game, and part of the reason they'll do that is because they'll be like, well, we're going to lose the ball, but in doing so, we're creating second ball opportunities, which we all then hopefully try to win. And if you do that, then the opponent is going to be their defensive structure is going to be all over the place, right? And
that sounds a little bit like Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that with Jurgen Klopp, he had to, at some point, recognize that he was operating at the top of the league and had to find ways of introducing levels of control that made it workable. Whereas with Iraola, I think both in and out of possession, their thing is just if we go quickly, we'll stop teams from really being able to settle into their. And what that means, and again, similar to what Jurgen Klopp used to say when he was at Dortmund against Bayern, it's like what we do is we drag teams down to our level.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're then better prepared in those scenarios to be able to compete. Interestingly enough, Bournemouth have always struggled against Liverpool, both when Klopp was there and when Slot was there. And again, that testifies to the fact that if you create these kind of more chaotic game states and you're playing against an elite team who are good at actually playing in chaotic game states, then maybe you lose your edge a little bit, right?
You know what you're doing, John, don't you?
What's that?
You're writing the story where he becomes the Manchester United manager. Because if we have regularly compared Manchester United's current era to Liverpool pre-Klopp, and I feel as though what you're describing in two ways makes, and I'm not just saying this to upset you now, but in two ways makes him the perfect next Manchester United manager, even though I don't think they would appoint him because they've just gone through the cycle of pick a smaller manager from a different place. Next is pick a Mourinho type manager, maybe the one afterwards, right? Here's the two reasons. The first is that you've described him and the way that he plays as almost a little bit Jurgen Klopp-like, and that's the kind of coach that Liverpool brought in when they needed to build back up again. That worked out really well. So that's the first thing. The second is that you've described him as a coach that plays in almost a different genre or different style. He's obviously creative, intellectual, and a thinker, which is not necessarily the same for all coaches who are maybe just doing iterations of what they've seen elsewhere. And one of the things that Jurgen Klopp did so well was evolve when he joined Liverpool. You need someone who doesn't just have a style of play that they then stick to forever at a different club. You need someone who's already shown that they could develop a new thing by using creativity, which it sounds like Andoni
we talked about this on Monday, right? Where I use the word lucky of Liverpool bringing in Jurgen Klopp, and it obviously pissed off the Liverpool fans. Lucky is probably the wrong word, but the point I was trying to make there is that when you Man United picking up someone like Andoni Iraola would be the same for me as Liverpool picking up someone like Jurgen Klopp. They play the same kind of football. But I think what they have to do to be able to be successful at that level, at the clubs that they would then be moving to, is they would have to evolve. And my point was more, you just can never know how well a coach will evolve. And that's sort of where I'm at with Andoni Iraola. For me, Jurgen Klopp is the second best manager ever. Right. So I want Liverpool fans to know that I'm not being.
So is Pep third?
No, Pep's first.
I was just making a joke about Alex Ferguson.
Oh right, no, I thought you were doing about Iraola. But again, Andoni Iraola is my favourite manager at the moment.
Yeah.
I still don't want to go ahead and say if someone like Man United signed him,
Yeah.
he would be successful.
No, of course not. But what you're saying, like it's the same when you hire people in new jobs
Yeah.
or something, right? You don't expect the person that you're promoting to know everything, but what you do expect is for them to exhibit that they can learn and do new stuff.
Absolutely.
Which it sounds like what you're saying about Areola.
Yeah, I think so. And we've seen evidence this season, I think, that he's maybe introduced a little bit more in possession control. But part of that was because they lost so many of their players, they've been able to bring different players in, right? So they brought in Adrian Truffert as at left back to replace Milos Kerkez.
Yeah.
He's much more of a control player. He's much more of a well-rounded player, so he can do a lot more different things.
Yeah.
And that's given them the ability to actually do a little bit more of the control stuff as well. So I think it's already happening. And, you know, would he work at Manchester United? I mean,
yes, and that's the end of the show. Bye.